So it's Super Bailey Bros debut time. We've got Benedict's interview with Alex Taylor, the director of Spaceship, and just ahead of his interview, I'm going to play the trailer for the film, so listen and enjoy this kind of eclectic mix of clips from the movie. And after that, we'll hear Benedict's interview with Alex. And there's some great stuff in there, listeners. They talk about the film, but they also cover what it's like to bring a first feature film to production, how he got the funding, what it was like moving from short film to long film, and also Alex's views on narrative cinema and reviewers and the whole world of film criticism. So loads of good stuff. And immediately after that, Phil and I are going to give our own thoughts on Spaceship. So here we go.
Most of the kids around here think they were abducted by aliens. At one point my local college was nearly empty. The police looked everywhere. They all came back 3 days later with stories that didn't make sense.
I'm a warrior. I'm a prince of darkness. I belong and you belong. We're at the centre of everything that's awesome. Everyone just wants to be like us.
I always wanted to be a unicorn, like in that game. The one where it flies all over the place until it gets sucked into a big black hole. The hole's full of glitter. There's some kind of amazing world in there. Perfect for unicorns.
My friends are zombies. Zombies remember their past lives and feelings, even though they want to eat your arm off. Deep down, they remember things, like when they first fell in love. Something out there came and took her away. There was like electricity in the air and then vaporization.
An alien abduction.
And if we were like the other kids...
I'm delighted to say we are joined on the Super Bailey Bros in Movieland podcast by Alex Taylor. He is the writer and director of Spaceship, which is a very interesting little British independent film. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks, it's nice to be here, Benedict.
Good, it's great to have you. Now, Spaceship is not a conventional film, I would have to say, certainly plot-wise. Could you, in your own words, describe for the listeners what is going on in Spaceship?
Spaceship is about a girl who fakes her own alien abduction, or disappears in what seems to be an alien abduction, and we follow her father looking for her. So there's this structure of a search for her, but really what it is a labyrinth inside a teenager's mind. That's how I saw the film, and I wanted to go left, right, down whichever alleyway I saw something interesting, rather than be constricted by a linear narrative, which is why you're saying it's not conventional. So to me it's normal to do that.
Yeah, sure.
I find it weird to restrict yourself to one pathway. I just find it I just want to break out and just smash the walls down. So for me this is a normal way of doing things, but it's like a constellation of portraits of people who are all trying to find themselves and people who are trying to be themselves against convention, against peer pressure. And that's very much for me what I remember going through when I was a teenager, and I think even as adults we go through that as well in different ways.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And because you wrote the film as well, is it difficult to balance and to juggle the stories and character development of such a wide net of characters and different individuals and personalities?
It is really difficult, and for everyone around me must have been quite frustrating, because I sensed where I wanted to go, but I was never always sure exactly on the day which pathway we'd be taking. So there was a lot of spontaneous. I wrote new scenes while we were filming. I cut scenes. They nearly shut the production down because I was cutting scenes and adding scenes that weren't in the script. But they saw the rushes and they loved it. So luckily they gave me quite a free rein in following that sort of method. But it is tough for sure. But I had a great editor as well. So after we finished filming, we went through a good 6-7 months of editing, which is longer than your usual film. And we juggle scenes, trying them in different places, taking them out, adding them, cutting scenes, like a Rubik's Cube. And eventually we just got to a place where we felt the scenes are just firing off each other. It was very fascinating. There were some scenes that we moved from the middle to the end, or the end to the beginning,
right.
And they they shed new light on the world.
Yeah. How did you find this young cast? Because they're very talented. I hadn't seen any of them, I don't think, before. Beyond maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was something I was really passionate about. finding new talent and giving. I didn't really like the idea of having a bunch of actors who I'd seen in previous films, and because therefore I just attached thoughts and atmospheres to them from their previous work. So Tallulah had never been in a film before.
Right.
Tallulah hadn't, and she's now the lead in a new Netflix series. She's in Taboo and that sort of stuff, and so it was all on meeting them in person and listening to the atmosphere of their soul, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like a Radio 4
No, I believe it.
But I really believe that people have an atmosphere to their soul, and I wanted to get a collection of the right sort of souls. Lucien studied ballet, for example, so it was just on that day that we were filming on an army ground and there was a tank, and I had a previous scene I was just a little bit bored by, so I just cut the scene and said, Lucien, you do ballet, right? He said, yeah. I was like, can you do ballet on the tank? He said, yeah. Okay, we're going to film you doing ballet.
Yeah.
And that's how that scene came about. So if I hadn't have picked him, I didn't know that his ballet would come into the film at some point, but
it did, didn't it?
It did, and I was thinking, all of the actors were wonderful people, and I nicked things from their lives and
did you? Yeah.
and put them in the film.
And did you trust them to do any improvisation, dialogue-wise, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of improvisations. About probably a third of the whole film.
Really?
Is
okay.
improvised.
As much as that, yeah. Because it does feel very naturalistic, and I think you capture, though it's not everybody's teenage experience or life experience, I very much related to that teenage search for some sense of identity and kind of answers to these questions that you're starting to think about.
And you related to Luke's character, presumably, because you're sort of similar age and
I'd say so. So do you treat your hiring of crew in a similar way to how you hire actors?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting, because I'm sure lots of directors are just like, good resume, let's go with them or whatever.
Yeah, and you get like really bad atmospheres on some sets because they're just, if you don't care about who you're working with, you just end up with a sort of hodgepodge crew of misfits, But everything from production design and costume, I had a wonderful crew, and they all sort of. Actually, they probably wouldn't say that they were all harmoniously working together. For me, it seemed like that. Yeah. I didn't get to see anything that went behind the scenes.
Great. Can you talk about the process of bringing Spaceship to the big screen? Because it began as a short film of the same name, though they feel kind of tonally linked, but not necessarily exactly the same characters or anything like that. So can you talk about that journey?
So, Spaceship, the short film, actually made while I was developing the feature. I kind of made it. I was inspired by Chloe, who's a cosplayer, to write the story of Spaceship.
Yeah.
But I made the short film kind of help support my application. So to get to the big screen, I had to apply to iFeatures, which is still going, and there were like 350 people applying, and 36 of us got an interview, and 16 of us got a treatment. 16 of us got money to develop a treatment, and then they chose 8 of us to go to script.
Okay.
And then at the end of like 6 months or something, they chose 3 of us to go into production. Right. So it was really stressful.
That sounds just like X Factor.
It was like X Factor, and you made friends on people with you.
Yeah.
And then it was so sad to see people go, but then you were happy that you got through.
Yeah.
Making your first film is. I came from music, and I saw I was doing music for people's films, and a lot of them were not getting to the point of making their first feature. So it is so difficult to get that first feature made.
Yeah.
You've really got to nail every single pitching meeting that you do, and I don't know how I got through.
And you say iFeatures, am I right in saying that is a collaboration between, is it the BFI, the BBC, and someone else? Can you kind of
Creative
talk,
England,
and Creative England. So can you talk about? Do you know much about iFeatures because I don't think I'd heard of it actually.
Yeah, I know a certain amount of it. I mean, so it's the 3, it's those 3 funders, and they put a third in each, and you have an exec producer from each of those bodies who you pitch your idea to, and they hopefully choose your idea, and then they guide you through the process. and iFeatures is for the first time feature filmmakers. So if you've done short films, you haven't yet done your first feature, you can apply to this. If you've already done a feature film, you can't.
Right. Interesting.
So it's a chance to make your first feature film, which is quite rare and very rare, you know.
Yeah.
Especially this sort of money. It's you know, nearly $500,000. So you know, a lot of people start on a lot less than that.
Do you see any clear differences for you in your experience between directing a short film and directing a feature?
Yeah, you have a big responsibility to entertain and draw the audience through a much longer period of time.
Yeah.
So, which obviously for me in this sort of style of filmmaking is something that I had to grapple with, and you know, I didn't want to fall on too many formulas or just fall on sort of general sort of tension and thriller-esque kind of plot contrivances.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got to somehow give people a reason to want to keep watching every scene.
Yeah.
So it's really tricky, especially with this kind of style film. But you know, I tried to get the balance right of scenes which were interesting in themselves and scenes which played a function. Because that for me is the problem with narrative films is that a huge amount of the scene is essentially just playing a function to make you want to watch the next scene.
Yeah.
It's not someone's true personality expressing themselves. It's an expression of somebody in order to achieve the aim of creating a dramatic irony or asking a question or answering that question. And when I see a film where every scene is just asking a question and answering it, then I just kind of feel, well, you know, that's not really a person doing, you know, I like to feel like the film's alive and the people in the film are real people living. And the other thing is that I really like, because I'm a musician, I really come from a music background, I wanted the film to be more like a music album that you could even dip into enjoy wherever you go into it, rather than, you know, your traditional kind of start at the start, end at the end. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of, that's why the film sometimes is a bit sort of, it's just non-linear.
Yeah. And can we talk a bit about the importance of reviewers for you? I think I've read in the past that you're more interested in maybe what the audience are taking from it, right, and kind of nervous about what critics are going to say. How important are reviewers to this film, this Spaceship?
They're really important to this film because it's on general release, and the audience is what matters, but the audience read reviews to decide whether they're going to go and see the film. So, and we've had such you know, sort of fantastic reviews. So I kind of actually, you know, I mean, there's one or two people who didn't quite get the movie, and they don't get it at all. So like, can't stand this. You know, the people who love it absolutely love it. Yeah. You know, some people have said, you know, it's like my soul is tripping off the screen. You know, and these people I've never met before. So that gives you a huge pleasure in hearing that someone responded to it emotionally. Yeah. So they're really important. So we're really excited to read what you guys and the national press and everyone says.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. So I'd like to say thank you, Alex, for spending time with us.
Thanks a lot.
I think the film is really interesting, and I would urge you all out, if it's playing in a cinema near you, to go and see it, because I think there's a lot to talk about.
Shall I tell you where it's playing?
Yes, you should. Yes, please.
It's playing in the Central Picture House. The main premiere is on the 19th of May.
Great.
Central Picture House. We're also playing at the Ritzy in Brixton, the Rio in Dalston, the Genesis in Whitechapel, the ICA, and the Institute of Light as well in London Fields. And then we're doing Manchester, Birmingham, Bradford, Glasgow, Nottingham, all over the place. So just go to spaceshipfilm.co.uk and all the details are there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.